So how do you kind of approach this bye week? I mean, you're coming off 3 straight wins, but you need to get some guys healthy. So is it kind of a good and a bad thing?
It's a good thing. I mean, I think we needed it, because everyone says we're halfway through, but really, they don't count the 5 weeks of camp. So you're way more than halfway through. So at some point, you just need some time to get your bodies right. Obviously, it's helpful for us to get those guys that are banged up, healthy, and the guys that are tired, a little bit of rest. So, but we also want to stay sharp because, we've been on a pretty good clip here. We want to make sure that we finish that way as well.
The key for your two main guys, Maurice and Tazier, being so productive?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think those guys have took to the coaching that we try to do. I think the system is obviously the change in the system has helped them. I think those guys, they want to do well. They want to be better. They study. They work at it. It's important to them. So every little detail they're trying to write down and take notes and get better at. So I'm appreciative of that as a coach, and I think it's shown on game day.
Chris, I know Pat talks about the 3% better every day. Are you seeing that type of progress from your group?
Not every day, but for the most part, like I said, all those guys, they've bought into what we're trying to do, which is, number one thing, having been, several places, you want people to buy into what you're trying to coach them into. And I think they see the system has given them opportunities that they might not have had in the past. So, I do think they're getting better, whether it's 3% every day, hopefully that's the case. But, I think right now they're trying to do everything we ask them to do.
With the system you guys have in place, you lead the nation in pass attempts. Do you think maybe wide receivers, high school wide receivers might see that and say, it might be a decent place to consider?
I hope so. I think, at the end of the day, everybody wants touches, and that's what you sell people on is recruiting and being able to get guys in so they can touch the ball and have opportunities to be Larry Fitzgerald or, Antonio Bryant or all the guys that have came through here in the past. So, I hope that they notice that. I definitely bring it up. I didn't know we were first. I think we were second a couple weeks ago, so I'll update my information on that. But, it's definitely something that we want to make them aware of.
How do you keep coming up with these, game-winning drives, these 2-minute drills? How's that clicking for you guys right now?
I think our guys play well when they play fast. We try to preach, don't look at the scoreboard, just keep playing. Sometimes that's good and sometimes it's bad. You get ahead a little bit and, you don't want them to let up. You don't want them to look at the scoreboard, but sometimes that's just human nature. But then when we get down, they feel comfortable in being in that element. I think that's when we do our best is when we try to go fast. So, they've been, super adaptive to the situations at hand. Even the Penn State game, we had 2 really great drives at the end of the game to give ourselves a chance. So, they've done a nice job, and we just got to try to stay out of that situation because I know it makes everybody nervous.
Chris, I know it's your first year here, but for the guys that are returning, how much are they enjoying this offense, getting so many more balls than they have earlier in their career?
Yeah, I mean, they're excited about it. They were excited in the spring, hoping that it would be, transfer into putting up, the numbers like they have. And I think the good thing is, you've got the 2 guys that make a ton of catches, but you've got everybody catching balls there. Aaron Matthews is catching 2 or 3 a game. Shockey finally got healthy and caught a couple in the last game. So, there's roles for everybody, to catch some passes. So, they know they got a chance if they go out and work, and they're going to get opportunities on Saturday. And at the end of the day, that's what they want.
Is that by design, or is that just because Kenny spreads it around?
It's by design. I think we don't want it to be, so heavy on one guy. There's at the end of the day, you have your guys that you feature, and that's part of it. But you want to make sure that you're well-rounded too, so that the defense doesn't have to just key on one guy all the time. And then we try to move those guys around a bunch. To me, that's a big deal as far as putting them in different spots so they can't always say, hey, they line up here and they do this, or they line up here. We move them all around and try to make it a little bit difficult for the defense to find them.
Anything final for Coach Beatty? Will you be flipping on the TV to watch Syracuse play tonight?
Oh, without question. NC State, what they do is, transfers a little bit in tape. So we were watching that game from from last year this morning, and then obviously we'll watch tonight to see, what they're doing now, and then see if they get a couple guys back. They got some guys that were banged up, so it'll be interesting to see how they play, and I'd definitely be watching.
You know, Chris, through 6 games here so far, how is the version of Taysier that we've seen compared to what you thought he could potentially be going into the season?
He's still got room for improvement. I think he's got a lot of room for improvement. You know, he's one of those guys, he's been pushing through all the things that we've asked him to do. You know, so I'm really happy with what he's doing. I think his attitude is getting better every day. He's, you know, becoming more of a team player and trying to figure out the big scheme or the grand scheme of things. But I think he's, you know, just scratching the surface. I think he can get better. You know, we've left some catches out there that, you know, we wish we could have back in the first half, and we'd love to not have those in the second half of the season.
Wait. No, you're good.
All right.